to the Don J MMA podcast. I'm here with the Don. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. This is going to be an interesting episode, but I don't know if it's an original idea, but we're going to roll with that anyway. So we've got five fighters here that we're going to go through, and me and Ben are going to have a discussion on whether we think they're overrated, underrated, or properly rated. So first one we have on the list, starting this off controversial. There's no point saving this to the end. Alex Pereira, overrated, underrated, probably rated.
Uh, I'm gonna say overrated. Now, when I say overrated, I don't mean that he's bad, right? Which I know, like a lot of Alex Pereira fans would kill me for this, but it's like I just think, there's talk of like heavyweight from some of his fans, and I do think he can win some fights there, but I don't think he could become champion. Like I saw some talk of him versus John Jones, and that's how bad it got at one stage. And I just think he's kind of, and like people are saying he's greater already than Khabib. He's like up there in the GOAT debate already, and I really don't agree with that.
It's a difficult one because I mean, what he's accomplished is really impressive in such a short space of time. But I don't
Yeah,
care what anybody says. Alex Pereira has had hand-picked opponents to get to these positions, sort of, especially at middleweight. That guy,
yeah,
Alex Pereira, in my opinion, has not fought an elite grappler yet. Jan Blachowicz is a good grappler, but that's not primarily his game plan ever really
no,
in a fight. He's looking to knock you out. What I think now has pushed Alex Pereira into the instead of perfectly rated to overrated is his fan base. He has the worst fan base in all of MMA. Like it's not even close. It's he the people that think he's going to win at heavyweight, he won't. We've both made videos on this in the top five or top 10. Like I seen someone saying he's going to beat Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades, yes, his fight IQ is terrible. He's just going to take Alex Pereira down and maul him. Like
you'd think.
yeah, like he's massive. Curtis Blades is massive. He's just going to take him down and maul him. And then I
But
seen
this
someone
is
say,
it's Curtis
eh,
Blades.
yeah, he's got the worst fight IQ of all time. Well, Michael Chandler probably. But then they come out like then they go, he beat Sergey Pavlovich. No, he wouldn't. These guys are massive. Like, and I've said this before as well. I don't think Alex Pereira particularly takes damage well either, and he
Mm.
can't. He's often hit. Like Yuri Prohaska hurt him in that fight, and everyone's like, no, that was because of the weight cut. That's why he get knocked out by Adesanya. Then he gets hurt by Yuri, and I was like, well, just make. Oh, they just keep moving the goalposts. For me, Alex Pereira is a great
Yeah.
fighter, but has had hand-picked opponents. He was properly rated, but due to his fan base, I'm going to lean towards overrated. Are we in
Yeah,
agreement?
he. I think I've got to agree with you, but just to finally touch up, him in the heavyweight division. By the way, if he ever wanted to make that step, I'd be super interested to see if he could pull it off. Um, he's huge. I don't know how he was ever at middleweight. Not a
Yes,
clue how.
ridiculous.
He got a hold of some of Islam's IVs. But but other than that, I think he could beat like a Spivak. I think he could beat Ty Bora. I really
Yeah,
do.
I think he could beat the guy. I don't think he beats anybody in the top five. And if he is to make the jump from light heavyweight to heavyweight, he's not going to fight anybody outside the top five or for the belt because that's just pointless. What a waste of time.
You imagine what John Jones would do to him? I mean,
With
like even
Maul,
beats him, but like you said with Sergey Pavlovich, like on paper, okay, Alex can counter Sergey. I do believe. I think he could crack Sergey a few times.
yeah, so do
Um,
I.
it depends on how filled out Alex is at heavyweight and how hard he hits at heavyweight, which I don't think would be as hard as he hits at light heavyweight and middleweight.
Like imagine him versus Pavlovich. It's I don't think Pavlovich necessarily has that bad of a chin, but it's one of those ones where like that could maybe be whoever lands first. But I just think because Pavlovich is that much
How,
bigger.
how do you think him and Cyril Gan would play out?
That if
You
he
think
is to
he
move up, that's the one I want to see. I'm
would have a
probably
good
going to
fight?
go for Gan, Cyril Gan to win because he's much bigger, and a lot of people shit on Gan's ground game, but he does have a good submission. Like he can go for subs. He's got a couple subs in his career, so you give him the advantage there. Obviously, getting Pereira down, it seems to be a lot harder than what people make it out to be. And in fairness to him, he does have the awareness to keep himself safe on the ground. You never see Alex Pereira get taken down and then like turn to his back or anything like that. He just keeps himself really safe, which is a
Yeah,
good thing for him. But no, I'm probably gonna go for Gan to win because he is the bigger guy.
yeah, and I think Gan would stop Alex. I think people, I've got to remember Alex keeps his chin in the air. He has been stopped by Israel Adesanya, in those 4 ounce gloves. And also, me and you have said this before. I actually think Cyril Gan is as good on the feet as Alex Pereira. I really, really believe that. I think Cyril
Yeah.
Gan is exceptional striker. Um, but yeah, moving on.
We have got next now. I don't know how you're going to take this one. Aljamain Sterling. I'll just start off by saying I believe he is the greatest UFC bantamweight of all time. And I just want to clear up. Everybody goes, what about Dominic Cruz? Dominic Cruz does his best work in the WEC. I'm pretty sure I've got that promotion right and I haven't messed it up. Have I?
Yeah, you've got it right. Yeah.
Yeah, so he done his best work there. That's not the UFC. I'm not saying he's the greatest bantamweight of all time, which I probably would say he is. But anyway, Dominic Cruz has done a lot of stuff in the WEC. That's where he really made his name and cemented his legacy, not in the UFC. Dominic Cruz has 2 title defenses in the UFC. So for me, Aljamain Sterling is extremely underrated. I must be his only fan, to be honest, with the amount of hate and abuse I get on TikTok for saying about it. But yeah, in my opinion, I think this guy's so underrated.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you, right? So I'm going to go with underrated, but I actually don't think he's the greatest middleweight. Middleweight, he's definitely not the greatest middleweight of all time. Um, I don't think he's the greatest bantamweight of all time. The reason being is I think he's up there. And if you tell me he is, I'm not unhappy with it. It's just there's context that can't be ignored behind some of his best wins. The
That is true.
disqualification and the Piotr Jan 2 fight was razor close. I actually think Aljo won that fair and square. I think that's a great win. Henry Cejudo was coming off a 3 year layoff, and it's unfortunate because these are things that Aljo can't control. They're not in his control. But his wins to me against a one-armed TJ Dillashaw, against Henry Cejudo coming off a 3 year layoff, which I still think is a great win, and Piotr Jan. To me, they're not legendary wins. And I think if he was to have gone out there and beat Sean O'Malley in convincing fashion, I would have had him as the greatest bantamweight of all time. But for me, it's just the context of his wins. Again, not in his control. But for me, like Dominic Cruz coming off a huge layoff and beating TJ Dillashaw the way he did,
Yeah.
that sets him as a great. You know what I'm trying to say there?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, that is the issue with Aljo is the circumstances that are under his wins. Again, like you said, there nothing he can do. Like, I mean, no
No.
one really knew TJ Dillashaw was that injured until that fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was
And like,
terrible.
and what's Aljo meant to do? Like, see his arm just again, just go, right, guys, let's call this off, postpone it till he's better. Like, no.
Not fair.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, no. But I do think like later on in time, Aljo will get the respect because I'm sure if you go back and look at all these champions, there are wins that they have. You're like, well, that guy wasn't 100%, or that guy was this, that guy was that. I think the name
Yeah.
value will carry later on. Just for me, I think he is underrated. And I don't know if this is controversial or not. If he was to get the rematch against O'Malley, he'd beat him. And that is why Sean O'Malley does not want that rematch because he knows he'd get beat. Just saying.
Yeah. I think the move up to featherweight is super interesting for him too. And I'm surprised he's done it. I'm surprised he's done it because it's a risky division to go to for him. But it is a division that, as much as we're all saying, Max Holloway would destroy him, Volt would destroy him, he is the only elite wrestler slash grappler in that division. He adds a bit of spice to it. It would definitely test out. When was the last time Max Holloway fought an elite level wrestler other than Frankie Edgar, who was way over the hill?
Yeah, there
As
wasn't really. I can't remember one.
yeah, as much as I think Max Holloway would destroy him, I think it's going to be interesting to see what Aljo can do. I mean, if Aljo starts ragdolling Max Holloway and Yair and
Imagine.
Ortega, that guy had to have been a bit of a weight bully. I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah,
But
I
But
I
yeah, I
feel
think
like though. Sorry, go ahead.
no, it's all right. Go on.
I feel like though with this move, I feel like he's kind of being pushed into featherweight because it's like he won't fight Marab, obviously, which is annoying, but I get he won't fight Marab. He won't get the immediate title shot. Umar is set to face Corey Sanhagen. Like, who does he fight? You're literally going down and down and down this list, and like, unless I think Aljo's only best bet to get that title shot back would be if he was to beat like a Marab or Corey Sanhagen, and those
Yeah,
guys are booked up, and he doesn't want to wait. So yeah, and I think moving up to featherweight, I think not taking the Calvin Kattar fight made sense because I don't get why you would take that fight. For me, the fight the UFC should have tried to make if Aljo was moving or is moving up to featherweight was the Brian Ortega fight. Brian
yeah,
Ortega, it actually winds me up the position this guy's in. He is number 3. His last win is the Korean Zombie. The guy doesn't even fight anymore. And then he's
no,
fighting Yair Rodriguez. Why? Why is he in these positions? He should be fighting. If Brian Ortega was wanting to come back, he should have been made to fighting Evloev or an Arnold Allen or an Aljo moving up. He shouldn't be put in these positions where, like, say he does beat Yair Rodriguez, which I don't think he will. They'll give him another title shot. Why? Why
yeah.
is he in these positions?
I think with Brian Ortega, I mean, he's a very hard fight for Aljamain Sterling just because of how good his
Yeah, the
grappling is.
grappling. Yeah,
Um, I really think Aljo's not. I think he could take Ortega down, but I don't think he'd establish anything significant with him there. That's the only problem. But what I will say about Aljo and Ortega is Aljo's a much better preparer than Ortega, and he has much better fight IQ. So again, Aljamain to that division is very interesting. If I had to pick Marab or Aljo to move up and have the more success, I'd say it'd be Aljo. I don't think Marab would have any success whatsoever at
I think these are
featherweight.
too small.
But what's funny about Marab and Aljo, just to finish up on Aljo, is I actually thought if they weren't friends, Aljo would have been the only guy to stop Marab, which is very interesting. And even then, Marab could beat Aljo. I mean, Marab is just a machine. Whether you
Yeah, he
like it,
really is.
he's probably going to beat Sean O'Malley. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I just feel like though with Aljo, I think moving up to featherweight, he is going to lose one big advantage, and that was his strength and size. He was
Yeah,
massive in the bantamweight division, and obviously coming up to 145, he won't be as big and strong. Just touching on the Brian Ortega fight, the reason why I thought that would have been a good matchup for him coming into featherweight is because Brian Ortega coming off an injury, he's been out for ages. Aljo just coming off that KO loss, moving into a new division. Both guys on the feet, let's be honest, aren't anything special, but are really good grapplers. So it would have been a good. I think that could have been like a fight night main event, to be honest, and I'd be happy enough for that just to see
I
the grappling exchanges.
I think that would be a war. I really do. I think Aljo would hit a lot of output on Ortega, and obviously Ortega has the power. I really think. I don't know. I always feel like with that fight, we've made the mistake before of thinking, oh, Ortega's a terrible stylistic matchup for Aljo. But sometimes the brain, the IQ, is just enough, and I really don't trust Brian Ortega to. I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, Ortega has everything. Ortega has every talent that I can think of. He has power. He has great jiu-jitsu, but it's like his IQ, unless it's ball Tega, different story. Unless his IQ for me is just not being there.
Yeah, he doesn't. He. It's as if like he knows his advantages, but just chooses to ignore them. And I don't. It's
Yeah,
like Curtis Blades. I don't know why. Do
yeah.
you want to
Why?
have a successful career or not?
Yeah, why isn't Brian Ortega a wrestler? Why? Why are you a
Yeah,
striker? It's like, no, I even think the same thing. I won't go into it too much, but anyway, so many jiu-jitsu guys, be a wrestler. If you have great jiu-jitsu, be a wrestler and couple that with your jiu-jitsu. Like even someone like Charles Oliveira, like why is Charles Oliveira a striker? But anyway, that is for a completely different video.
that is a
We'll go.
perfect segue into our next fighter, Charles Oliveira. Overrated, underrated, probably rated.
I have to say I love Charles Oliveira, and I think people go over the top with him. But I also think people dump on him a little bit too much. So I'm going to meet in the middle and say properly rated, overrated by many, underrated by many, and I
Yeah.
think people like me and you just I think we like him. You know,
I think if you had asked me this when he was like a couple months ago or like before, maybe just after the Benio fight, I would have said overrated, to be honest,
people
because
people were overlooking him. I mean, people were saying like, remember the Benil fight? I
I
don't
thought
actually know,
I,
but everyone was saying Benil was going to knock him out.
I
You
thought
know,
that. I thought Benio would beat him. Every time I pick Benio, he gets KO'd in the first round. So I mean that could be something to look into. But yeah, for me, I don't know. I think Charles Oliveira is similar to Alex Pereira, where his fan base makes him unbearable at times. Like this is a complete different segue. Well, it kind of ties in anyway. So I had a guy I was talking about like win streaks on TikTok, and I had Habib above Oliveira's win streak purely because of the way Habib beat people. He dominated them. You can never watch a Habib fight and go, "Oh, he's hurt or he's nearly out or anything." And I said that is
yeah.
what differentiates them, in my opinion, as to why I have Habib above him. And some guy commented, Charles Oliveira's game plan is to get hurt. Like what? like he said that's like part of his game plan.
Don't ever comment ever again on the Don's post, please.
Like that's ridiculous. He's like, yeah, but you can see when he gets hurt, he's trying to lure them into his guard. No, I doubt you asked Charles Oliveira in his team. So we're going out here to fight Justin Gaethje. What's the plan? Stand there, let him hit you, and then go down. Yeah, that's the plan. Obviously
Crediting,
not.
you
Like,
just discredit
yeah, like
yeah,
I
you,
think
if any
Charles is a great fighter.
him.
Yeah, I think Charles is a great fighter. He is going to suffer from the thing kind of similar to Max Holloway, in my opinion, where I think he beats everybody in that division outside of Islam.
Yeah, and he can give Islam a good run on his best night.
Yeah,
A
I think
good
he can.
but what's interesting about that rematch, and that certainly seems to be what the UFC is going with. Sorry, Arman, but you're not getting that shot.
I
Let's be
think they
honest.
have to. I think they have to go for that next. I keep seeing people say about Gaethje. No,
No, no,
Oliveira
no.
deserves it more than Gaethje.
I mean, I guess. I mean, if Islam beats Charles, I think he's going to move up, which is going to be quite interesting. But and also just to touch up on that, Islam beats Charles Oliveira. Is he greater than Khabib Nurmagomedov?
Yes,
You think?
in my opinion, yeah. I think
In my opinion, it depends. We can't ignore, right? Because sometimes we get lost in the. I certainly do as well. I get lost in the Khabib only beat 7 good fighters in his
yeah,
career in the. But when we said before, a context of wins, Khabib made Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje, and Dustin Poirier look absolutely easy. Absolutely, maybe not Conor. Conor at times gave him a bit of trouble, but
yeah.
for the dominated that fight. So
I
I
th-
just think it's so hard because even Islam, he got hurt in the first fight with Volkanovski. Me and you both think Islam won, but it was a contentious decision. He destroyed Charles Oliveira, not destroyed him, but he comfortably beat him, which was a great win. He's beat
yeah.
Bobby Green. Who else has he beat?
Dan Hooker, he subbed
Dan
him.
Hook. So I mean, he doesn't actually have that many amazing wins just yet either. So, and I hope he doesn't retire quickly too, because I think I'm a big fan of Islam, and there's a lot more I want to see from him.
Yeah, I feel like Islam. Obviously, Habib retired because of his whole dad situation. Like, I don't. If I think if Habib's dad was still around, he'd still be fighting. I think
Yeah,
that is the reason why he retired. But yeah, for me, I feel like it. What you said on how they win, if he dominates Oliveira in this rematch, he is above him. Say he goes like a split decision, which I don't see happening to be honest, then I'm not too sure. I just feel like beating the pound for pound number one or two, I can't remember what Volk was at the time. I think he was two going into the second one, back to
yeah.
back is impressive. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, but Volk took that on short notice. Volk wouldn't have took that fight in short notice if he wasn't somewhat in fight ready condition, in my opinion. And Islam kicked the head off him. So I just feel like I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Islam will go down higher than Habib because he will move up. I feel like he will move up and fight Leon Edwards because Leon will TKO Colby in the fourth round. So I feel like that will probably be the next fight for both guys after.
And it's just to finish up on Islam. I mean, Islam at the welterweight division, that welterweight division would be so good with Islam
Yeah.
Makhachev, because Islam will actually fight people. And Islam would be more active than Leon Edwards or Colby. And I love Leon Edwards and I love Colby. And if they both were to fight Islam on any particular night, I'd want Colby or Leon to beat him. I love Islam. Them two are just my favourite fighters. But yeah, I mean, Islam definitely shakes up that welterweight division.
Yeah. So just before I move on to the next fighter, we've got Oliveira. We're both going for properly rated.
Charles Oliveira properly rated.
I can't believe we've agreed on every single one so far. Right. Next, number 4, Bully B, Bilal Muhammad. Go ahead.
Oh, underrated. Super
Same,
underrated.
I agree.
I mean, look, I've dunked on Bilal in the past and I've matured. You know, I'm like steak. When you go into Lidl, sometimes you see on the shelf there's like matured steak. I am that steak. You know, Louis Don Dad has more of a sirloin steak, not really matured. You know, he's still got some, you know, opinions. No, I just think with Bilal, look, the finishes will come the more he improves. He did finish Shane Burgos. Wait, was it Shane Burgos?
Sean Brady.
Tom Brady, what am I even talking about?
What a casual.
Casual moment. Casual moment. You can tell this clip is not going to be on my TikTok.
This clip will be on mine.
But no, so Bilal Muhammad, he beat Sean Brady. He he puts him out. He puts on a statement, but that's not really enough. I think the Gilbert Burns injury that happened during the fight, whether me and you agree with it or not, is just going to be. I mean, the win was great for him, and then the injury comes out. Oh, Burns had one arm during the fight, and everyone's just running with it. No one seems to want to give Bilal Muhammad credit.
Yeah, I feel like though alternative. I think this is just because people hate Bilal Muhammad. I think say Bilal went in there and Gilbert Burns beat him the same fashion Bilal beat Burns, but it came out Bilal was injured. Nobody would bring that up. Like nobody would even mention that. It would never be talked about.
Yeah, I mean, like, or even if like Burns was fully fine and Bilal had one arm, Bilal had just no arms in the fight. Like he just had two legs, and he starched Gilbert Burns in the first round. No one would give him credit. You know, people just don't like him, and I don't think he's a bad guy. I've got to be honest with you. I don't ever watch him. I don't think he's super arrogant. I don't think he's
Yeah.
super outspoken. I think he's just a fighter that thinks he's the best in the world. I really think this stemmed from the Leon Edwards eye poke. I really think this is where the Bilal
Yeah. Hate.
hate started. And I'm a big Leon Edwards fan. He was smoking Bilal, let's be honest,
Yeah, he
before
was.
that. But that eye poke was terrible, and that fight had to be stopped. That is just what had to happen. There is no way Bilal could get cleared to fight with how his eye was after that. But ever since then, I think people just don't like him at all. It's
Yeah.
strange.
I, I don't know. I don't even know why, because I never. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Do I sit and watch Bilal Muhammad interviews? No, I don't.
No.
I really don't. So I don't know what this guy says in his interviews, to be honest. Yeah. So I mean, he had a really good win against Sean Brady, which again has aged like a mature steak, as Ben would say, because Sean Brady just came back and beat Kelvin Gastelum, so that was a great win for him. But yeah, for me, I think Bilal is extremely underrated. I mean,
Yeah.
it isn't doing him any favors in the MMA like community with fans sitting out for a title shot. Now, I believe he does deserve a title shot. I hopefully the UFC do right by him and give him the title shot next, because if not, then what the fuck is the point in rankings? Really, they're pointless.
No.
So, but I do feel like he should fight one more time. And if Gilbert Burns has came out, which I seen a statement of Gilbert Burns saying if he was fully fit, he would have beat Bilal Muhammad. Then if you're Bilal Muhammad, you're sitting there thinking, happy days, make this rematch because you beat him so easy the first time.
Yeah.
So it's
Sorry.
like,
I'm dealing with my dog crying.
Yeah, no, you're all good. Yeah, but he beat Bilal. Bilal beat him so easy the first time round. So it's like then if Burns wants to fight and you know you need another win before you fight for the belt, make it happen and get another easy win. Or
Yeah.
alternatively, Ian Gary will beat Vicente Luque. Unfortunately, Bilal Muhammad, Ian Gary, Bully B can humble him. All well is restored in the world. But for me,
On
Bilal underrated.
if you want fans to like Bilal Muhammad, you give him Ian Gary after he knocks out Vicente Luque. If you want fans to like him, you give him Bilal. If you want fans to like Bilal, sorry, you give him Ian Gary. Ian Gary, in my opinion, could knock Bilal out. I actually
Yeah,
really
I
do
think
believe.
it's a hard fight for Bilal, to be honest.
I think Bilal, honestly, I think he beats him to a decision. I think
Yeah.
he, uh, I think he grinds Ian Gary down. I think he's a very good preparer. Ian Gary fights quite the same way in every fight. I think Bilal would find tendencies. I think he might get clipped, but I think certainly in a 3 round fight or a 5 round fight, any fight, Bilal would maul Ian Gary.
Yeah, I
I
feel
really
like
do.
though, especially what we've seen in the last fight with him and Gilbert Burns, the constant stance switching and the kicks, the body kicks. He threw really good body kicks in there, surprisingly,
And
which I didn't think Bilal would really ever do. Which I think could cause Ian Gary a bit of issues on the feet, especially because if you're constantly changing stances, it's hard to find a rhythm. And you kind of see Ian Gary does kind of fight off like a rhythm, if you know what I mean. Like on the feet, like you said, he's very similar in the way he fights. And I also think with the constant threat of a takedown from Bilal, it would offer him a lot of issues. I do agree, Bilal by decision, but I also could see Ian Gary beating him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think there. I don't know if it is likely, but I also think if Ian Gary was to beat Bilal, maybe he could get a bit of shine back to him. But
Yeah.
he's in a spot with the fans. We don't care. We don't care about Ian Gary's personal life. But at the end of the day, he's a very good fighter. Um, and yeah, I'd like to see him after Vicente Luque fight a Bilal. But Bilal probably won't fight him. He wants to wait out for his title shot. But I actually have a fighter. I don't know how much time we have left on here, but I actually have a fighter I wanted to mention to you.
Yeah.
Overrated, rated, or properly rated. Sean O'Malley.
Um, I'm gonna go for underrated. Probably rated to the edge of underrated. Like that win against Aljamain Sterling, although I think Aljo would beat him in a rematch, that's really impressive. Like really, really impressive. He
Yeah.
the issue with Sean O'Malley is he is probably going to come under the same issue as an Oliveira and Pereira, where his fan base make him overrated by like saying ridiculous shit that doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, he's going to
Yeah.
move up the lightweight or move up the featherweight and beat Volk. Do you know what I mean? But this guy's slick on the feet, and he realistically, in my opinion, he's gonna batter Cheeto Vera. Like he's gonna hurt Cheeto bad.
Um, see, I I wasn't sure what you were going to say, but I really think Sean O'Malley's very underrated. Now, a lot of people like Sean O'Malley, but I think I find it strange how he knocks out Aljamain Sterling the way he does, right? And it's almost like nobody cared. Like no one talks about it. I mean, it was a big thing, like Sean O'Malley. If you are what you say, you are
Yeah,
super. We've seen all the edits, but what I'm saying is, it wasn't like no one cared, but it was. It feels like no one's saying, "Look, Sean O'Malley is the real deal. Like he's a very, very good striker." A lot of people are saying like a lot of fighters would beat him at bantamweight. Marab would beat him. Aljo would beat him. You know, and like people say like they would dominate him. A lot of people are picking Cheeto to beat him as well. I'm
no,
seeing. And as much as I think the first fight, by the way, for those of you that think it was a fluke, and this does wind me up when Sean O'Malley fans say that, was not a fluke. If you wing an overhand and knock somebody out cold with it, it's not luck. It happened because you threw the overhand, you timed it correctly. Chito Vera threw a perfect leg kick that got the nerve of Sean O'Malley's knee, and he lost function. And then Cheeto got on top of him and knocked him out. That's what happened. And he did it in the first round. That could be a factor. because that is Sean O'Malley's only loss. And as much as Sean preps up, or it's not a real loss, he knows what happened, in my opinion. I know what
Yeah.
happened. Um, and I think Cheeto can find that shot. Like, I still think he can damage O'Malley's legs. I still think he can parry some of O'Malley's jabs. He's got a granite chin. But I think you're going to see Cheeto, who's doesn't even deserve a title shot, to be honest
No,
with
he
you, and
really
isn't real.
doesn't.
Like how he got completely decimated by Corey Sanhagen, but then gets a title shot over Corey Sanhagen is completely beyond me. And they're giving Corey Sanhagen Umar Nurmagomedov, who's not even in the top 10.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Honestly, this is why I hate the matchups like this because what's the point in the rankings then? What's the point?
Yeah. I mean, they just wanted to. It's like they saw Umar Nurmagomedov on the rise, and they were like, "Ooh." I mean, as well. I think that would have burst the hype bubble of Umar. I really think Corey would have beat him.
And
Um,
they're scheduled to fight again, and I still believe that Sanhagen will beat him.
Yeah, I mean, if Umar mauls him, then I don't even know these Dagestanis. If he mauls,
Yeah.
if he mauls Corey Sanhagen, have him like how good, whether he's boring or not these days. Corey's looking great on the ground. He's looking great on the feet. He looks unstoppable, borderline, to be honest with you. But if Umar mauls Corey Sanhagen, then I'll
Yeah.
never I'll never bet against the Dagestani ever again.
I feel like out of everybody outside of Aljo at bantamweight, I feel like Corey Sanhagen will give O'Malley his hardest matchup. I feel like with Marab being a lot shorter than what O'Malley is, I feel like when O'Malley knocked out Eddie Wildland, you know, with that like he
Oh
faked
yeah,
it and faked the uppercut and then just came over with the straight left. I feel like he could catch Marab with that, or catch Marab with uppercuts or knees when he's coming in. I feel like because Corey Sanhagen is a bigger frame, similar to O'Malley at bantamweight, and now he's added this new stripe to his game plan where he can grapple heavy. I feel like that is a really tough matchup for O'Malley. But yeah, similar to going back to the Cheeto fight, I feel like Cheeto does have a granite chin, yes, and I do think O'Malley. I don't know if he'll finish him or not. A part of me feels like he will, but a part of me feels like he will just absolutely batter him for 5 rounds. And I feel like because Cheeto is such a slow starter, and he would rather land one big shot than like. Do you
yeah.
know what I'm like? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like he looks for that fight ending shot. I feel like with O'Malley's movement and how his frame for the division, how his length, I feel like he's just gonna like really hurt Cheeto Vera, like batter him, like absolutely bloody bruise. Like his face is gonna be a mess. Like
I mean,
Chris Moutinho, whenever O'Malley fought him, like fucking
oh, no.
breaks O'Malley's hands because he's just that durable and just takes that
I,
many punches.
I think he's going to become in much more active than he usually is in
He
this
has
fight. For
to.
sure, I don't agree. He can't. He can't. It can't be a chess match. I really don't think. I think the worst scenario for O'Malley is he goes in there, he's getting his legs kicked. It's a chess match. It's one punch at a time. Then I think Cheeto can find that shot. I mean, having a chess match with Cheeto is like a real bad idea. You know, not many fighters can get away with it. Dominic Cruz found out the hard way. You
Yeah.
know, you can beat him, you can be beating him, but he will find that shot. If you're not keeping busy, he will find that head kick. He'll find that right hand. You know. But yeah, devil's advocate. I mean, if Cheeto pulled that off, whoa, that is one of the biggest upsets ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think if Cheeto beats him, they do the I think they give O'Malley a rematch. I'm not even joking.
yeah,
I
they
feel like
would,
they
but
because of his name value, I think they would give him an immediate title shot after not even defending the belt once. That's the crazy thing.
this win is going to. I think this win is going to, like you said, he's going to win in dominant fashion. He's going to silence the first fight, you know, end
Yeah,
all
he's
the
gonna
doubt.
skyrocket.
He's going to take some shots. I don't know if he's going to Chris Moutinho him, but I do think he's going to win comfortably to a decision win or a very late TKO. But it was going to be interesting to see if he does dominate Cheeto, his stardom is going to go through the roof.
I feel like
I,
this win here against Cheeto will do more for O'Malley than the win against Aljo.
Yeah, because it's like Volk against Korean Zombie in a way. It's like Volk decimated Korean Zombie, but sometimes you need these not tune-up fights, but these fights that show just the levels that you're
Yeah,
on.
like
Like
the
Volk
big
just
gap.
so much better than the Korean Zombie, who's way
That was
past
brutal.
that was a bad mismatch.
Yeah,
But
that was terrible.
I just think this is going to be a fight that catapults Sean O'Malley further until he fights Marab.
Yeah, so we're both saying underrated. We'll just recap the five fighters we went over. So Alex Pereira, overrated. Ben,
Overrated.
oh my god, I went blank. Who do we say next? Charles
We went
Oliveira was there.
Charles Oliveira. I think I went for properly rated.
Yeah, so did I. We had someone else. I've actually forgot. Um,
Aljamain, we went for
Aljo, underrated.
rated. Bilal Muhammad,
Bilal
we rated, and
and
Sean O'Malley
O'Malley.
on for underrated. So quite
So
a few
yeah,
underrated. Let us know in the comments what you think if you've made it this far. We appreciate the viewers we have been getting. We've been getting a lot of viewers when we do actually upload, which is quite good to see. We're going to hopefully get some clips up on TikTok. Get your questions in if you ever
yeah,
want us to ask questions. And yeah,
yeah. Like Ben said, appreciate all the support. We will get clips up on TikTok, and we are trying to go for a push to be more active on this account. Um, in the new year, we should become more active on this account because we are upgrading the whole setup. But yeah, like Ben said, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It does really help out. And fire away your questions in my comment section or Ben's or this videos. And yeah, we will see you again in the next one.